Something dangerous is happening in the global chip war, and most people don't even see it yet. While the United States tries to cut China off from advanced technology, China has found a way to hit back, and the Netherlands is finding itself in real trouble for trying to help the US stop China's chip production. With China hitting back, now there is a collapse of very important chips needed by many industries around Europe, and everyone is blaming the Netherlands for not handling the situation properly. The crisis around the Dutch company Nexperia has gone beyond business, and it is now a fight that exposes how the United States is trying to force the Netherlands into a confrontation with China so Washington can control how many chips China can produce. China's government is now showing the world that it can stop entire industries by blocking supplies that Western factories depend on. European automakers are already feeling it. US officials are panicking behind closed doors, and for the first time, Washington is no longer calling the shots. This is not just about semiconductors. It's about power. Who holds it, who's losing it, and who's quietly taking it piece by piece. What you're about to see shows how the chip war has entered a new phase, one where China is not reacting anymore, but leading. And the West, despite all its sanctions and deals, may have already lost control of the game. So before we dive in, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications, because what's coming next in this chip war will decide who wins the global economy and who gets left behind. Let's get into it. In early October 2025, The Hague made what it believed was a firm but necessary decision to force Chinese-owned Nexperia to divest from its semiconductor operations in the Netherlands. Officials said it was a national security matter. They believed that by cutting China's ownership links, they were protecting Europe's critical chip infrastructure from potential espionage and foreign control. But they were wrong, dangerously wrong. What Dutch regulators saw as a preventive act, Beijing saw as a direct economic assault, and they were not going to take it. And within days, China's response exposed a reality that few in Europe had fully grasped. Unlike Nvidia, Intel, or AMD, Nexperia is a company most people have never heard of. So you are most likely wondering why there is so much fuss over this company. Well, let me explain. Nexperia is a semiconductor manufacturer based in Nijmegen, Netherlands, with operations stretching across the UK, Germany, and Asia. Once part of Philips, it was spun off in 2017 and later acquired by Wingtech Technology, a major Chinese electronics group with deep ties to Beijing's industrial strategy. Nexperia doesn't produce the flashy high-end chips that power AI or data centers. It makes something more fundamental, but probably more important than AI chips. They make discrete semiconductors and power management chips. These are the small, often overlooked components that regulate current, control power flow, and make electronic systems stable. Every car on the road, every washing machine, every smartphone depends on them. In short, without Nexperia's products, modern life slows down or stops. That's what made the Dutch government's decisions so explosive. By forcing a Chinese divestment, it disrupted a company that touches almost every major supply chain on Earth. When you listen to US or European politicians talk about the chip war, you would think the entire battle is about AI chips, quantum processors, and cutting-edge nanometers. Every speech praises the new chip plants being built in Arizona, Germany, or Japan. But here's what no one in Washington or Brussels wants to admit. The chips that actually run the world are not the fancy ones. They are the small, simple semiconductors that do basic jobs in every electronic device. And China quietly controls most of them. Let's be clear, these are not the chips used for artificial intelligence or supercomputers. This is exactly what Western governments missed. They've been chasing prestige, trying to stop China from getting advanced chip designs, but they forgot that the global economy runs on the small stuff. And the small stuff is almost entirely made in China. China currently controls about 43% of the world's integrated circuit production. And according to data from TrendForce and IC Insights, it now produces over 60% of all discrete semiconductors and more than 70% of passive components, things like capacitors, resistors, and inductors. In simple terms, that means most of the electronic parts in your home, your phone, and even hospital equipment are made in factories across Guangdong, Shenzhen, and Jiangsu. even when the chips carry Western brand names like Nexperia, ST Microelectronics, or Infineon. A large part of the actual manufacturing still happens in Chinese or Taiwanese plants. Western nations are heavily dependent on the same supply chain they are trying to weaken. That is why Bosch is warning that the EU's entire auto industry could collapse if the Chinese company shuts down supply. If Beijing decided to hold shipments for a single month, car factories in Germany, the UK, and the US would grind to a halt. This isn't an exaggeration. In 2021, when a fire at a small Renesas chip plant in Japan shut down production for just a few weeks, global car output dropped by over 10%. Now imagine that, but instead of one plant, it's an entire country like China closing its ports. That's the kind of power Beijing now has. And yet, Washington keeps talking about winning the AI race. It's a distraction. The US is spending billions building advanced chip plants that won't be ready for 5 years, while ignoring the most basic components needed today. It's like preparing for a rocket launch when you don't even have enough screws to hold the ship together. Europe is no better. The European Chips Act, announced with great fanfare, mostly funds projects for advanced lithography and 3-nanometer chips, technologies that have nothing to do with the shortages killing European factories right now. When German carmakers beg for more power chips, no one can deliver because production still happens in Asia. China, on the other hand, saw this coming years ago. It invested heavily in low and mid-tier chip manufacturing, quietly taking over the supply of the components the world can't live without. It didn't need to match the US in AI processors. It only needed to dominate the daily essentials. And it didn't. The West made this same mistake before with rare earth elements, the metals used to make magnets, batteries, and defense equipment. They ignored it until China controlled over 80% of refining and production. When Beijing once hinted at cutting off supply in 2010, global markets panicked overnight. Now, the same trap has been set again. This time, the stakes are higher. Every industry, automotive, electronics, defense, medical, and energy, depends on these low-value chips. Without them, not even a power plant or an ambulance can run. The uncomfortable truth is that China holds the industrial oxygen of the modern world. The US can talk about AI supremacy all it wants, but if Beijing turns off the supply of basic semiconductors, the West will suffocate first. And as of now, China doesn't need to fire a single shot. It just has to stop the shipments. When Donald Trump met Xi Jinping in what the media called a reset moment for US-China trade relations, many in Washington thought they had pulled off a diplomatic victory. After months of tension and export restrictions, Trump emerged from the talks saying that China had agreed to relax some of its semiconductor restrictions and allow limited shipments of components to US-linked companies. It sounded like progress, but if you look deeper, China didn't actually give up control. It simply decided when and how to open the tap. In the days following the meeting, reports from Global Times and Caixin suggested that Beijing had quietly authorized a few selected firms to resume exports of mid-tier chips and essential electronic components to American and European manufacturers. These shipments included power management chips, automotive semiconductors, and certain microcontrollers, all of which had been restricted during the height of the chip standoff. But the approvals came with strings attached. Companies receiving these shipments had to prove their supply chains were not linked to US sanctions or military use. In short, China was still setting the rules of the game. The US side celebrated the move as a diplomatic win, but in reality, it showed who truly had leverage. Washington has been desperate to ease the shortage of industrial semiconductors, especially after months of factory slowdowns in Detroit and Europe's car hubs. Trump's push to get Chinese supply lines flowing again was less about trade peace and more about economic survival. America can't produce enough of these basic chips domestically, and without China's cooperation, production in key industries could stall again within weeks. What makes this development so significant is that China didn't need to make any formal deal. It simply used the meeting to show flexibility, while keeping its dominance intact. Analysts from Bloomberg Intelligence and Nikkei Asia have noted that Chinese officials see this as a chance to appear cooperative while still maintaining strategic control of supply chains. In other words, China is letting the US breathe just enough to stay dependent. The symbolism of this move is powerful. China is showing the world that it can dictate the rhythm of global trade, tightening or relaxing its grip whenever it chooses. While Trump tried to frame it as a mutual step forward, the truth is that China now has the power to use access as leverage. It is not reacting anymore. It is orchestrating. So yes, some chips are flowing again, but only because Beijing wants them to. The balance of power has shifted, and Washington knows it. Forget what you are hearing on the news. The real panic is from workers working with automakers. If China continues to squeeze the supply of these chips, then these workers have no future. This is why European carmakers are panicking. Automakers like Nissan, Volkswagen, and BMW are warning of delays, production cuts, and potential shutdowns because of missing Nexperia chips. These are not luxury components. They're the cheap, essential semiconductors that keep entire production lines moving. When they're gone, plants stop dead. That's what makes this moment so dangerous. Supply disruptions from China don't just cause inconvenience. They strike at the industrial core of economies that have no replacement suppliers ready. The Netherlands can nationalize Nexperia, but it can't replace its Chinese factories overnight. Germany, now caught in the crossfire, is lobbying Beijing directly to restore supply. Think about that. Berlin, a close US ally, is negotiating with China, not Washington, to get its car chips flowing again. That is how leverage erodes. When Europe's largest economy starts appealing directly to Beijing, it means US policy pressure is no longer the only voice at the table. China's counter-strategy is brutally effective. It doesn't need to fire a single tariff or sanction. All it has to do is hold shipments, delay exports, or slow approvals. Every hour that passes costs Western industries millions. And those industries, desperate to survive, begin turning toward Beijing instead of Washington for relief. You can already see a dangerous dependency forming, one where Europe talks tough about national security in public, but behind closed doors quietly negotiates with China to keep its factories alive. So what do you think? Can Europe still break free from China's grip? Or has the dependency already gone too far? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next one.